Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. A lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you. I know that life outside is so hard.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And wow, you can see how busy I've been tonight. I haven't even put on my screen at the back. Well, while I'm doing that, I just want to give you some admin before we get on to tonight's discussion and subject. Let me just fix this, guys. Come on. There we go, all done. All right, now I got this message from Patrick of Farmers Aid, South Africa. And thanks to Loving Life, his charity received 19,000 Rand to help feed starving families on the south coast of KwaZulu-Natal. He wrote to me just earlier today and said, "Hi Scott, in Montclair we found an old age home of 180 elderly people. We dropped off many bags of maize and potatoes. They were so happy. As they say, people always overlook them for help. Now they will have enough stock to feed the 180 elderly, but still a lot more work will have to be done, as there are 3 more houses." And what I'm going to show you now are some photos and videos. And Patrick also said, the Rhino Bikers Club helped us offload the maize. So here's a shout out to the Rhino Bikers Club. Okay, let me just show you quickly the photos and videos that Patrick sent me. Here we go. You can see the maize and the potatoes that are handed out to people on the south coast over the weekend. And that's obviously a bigger drop for a big family. And here they are, dropping off some food and potatoes. And let's just go to the next one.
Morning, man.
So this is thanks to the donations I've received on our 100K celebration party about 10 days ago.
We only had one carer in the day and one tonight.
Alrighty. So that's just a bit of an update on the funds that were raised through Loving Life just a short while ago. Now, tonight we meet Dr. Ivan Jardine, who we've actually met in the past. Remember, he was a doctor who was arrested and incarcerated for 10 hours by the South African Police Service when he was on an emergency call helping someone who was in critical condition, such as the way the South African police do their jobs nowadays. But anyway, and we're also meeting Daryl Hardy of Servitude, or Dare to Love. Very, very interesting organization. Now, please remember to subscribe to Loving Life on YouTube to be kept informed, and register on lovinglifetv.com, the platform we are transitioning to. All right, let me get our guests on. Here we go. Oh, I've just got to, okay. Sorry guys, it won't be a second. I've just got a bank account detail here for Rivers of Grace. I'm just going to type that onto the screen here because otherwise, okay, Grace, First National Bank, and account. In fact, I'll actually put it up on the screen while I'm typing it up. There we go. Just so you guys know, that's the bank account details. Okay. 6277 0770 496. All right, now let's get our guests on. Here we go. While we're waiting, please remember to subscribe to Loving Life on YouTube. Hi, Ivan.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Excellent. Good to see you again, mate.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, I've just got your icon at the moment. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
And there's Daryl. Hi, Daryl. Good to meet you again.
Scott, good to see you too. Thank you.
Great. Now, I see we got the Servolution logo behind you.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to get Ivan to introduce the subject tonight. Now, Ivan, perhaps you'd just like to kick it off by explaining what is the Servolution movement.
Okay. I think it was last year when I got introduced to the Dare to Love Servolution movement, and what really touched my heart was it's almost like a love in motion or prayer in motion, that we actually going out there to do something rather than sitting on in four walls, just learning about things and just being happy that way. So for me, it's very exciting. Every event is a blessing for me. Every event has been an adventure. And, in my own way, I hope I could add some blessings to other people as well. But I was really privileged to meet Daryl and Rochelle, and they're really great guys. And I don't think I'll do any justice trying to describe what they do, because I'm sure I'm going to say something or miss out something that's vitally important. So, what impressed me most was when they had that event in Senegal, when they went down to Senegal, the 7 of them, and that really blew me away. And that was it. That was Dare to Love Servolution for me. So I think just with having said that, I'd like to introduce you to Daryl Hardy, and all's yours, Scott.
Fantastic. Hi, Daryl. Good to see you again. We did speak a little while ago. And
Hi, Scott. Good evening. Thank you.
And to Rochelle, who I know is there but is too shy to come on. Hi, Rochelle. She's keeping quiet.
Hello, Scott.
All right, you're okay, Rochelle. We'll forgive you. Now, okay, Daryl, would you like to just expand on how the Servolution movement started, and where it started, what you did, and how it progressed from there?
Absolutely, Scott. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So yeah, it was about eight years ago where we realized that, listen, we if we want to change things, we need to get out there. Praying's not enough. We need to get into action, and really, it's just a challenge. So we called it "We Dare You to Love," and we essentially get out and we handle all sorts of social ills. So we get involved with the widow, the orphan, foreigner. We get into the difficult places where the guys don't want to pitch up, whether it's the Senecals or whether it is Sharpeville, etc. And so really it's a challenge to everyone saying, listen, we're the hands and feet, let's get out there, let's make a difference. The name Servolution, it's exactly what it says. It's about serving, because true heroes serve, or love serves, and it comes from Galatians 5:13. And it's really a revolution of love. That's what it is. It's saying, listen, where do you make a difference? How are you impacting society? We dare you to serve. Incredible movement.
Right. Well, I mentioned earlier that we have a resident pastor on Loving Life, and his name is Dan Berryman. And he had a service just on Sunday where it was, let's wash the feet. It's like serving again. And I always say, this guy, he I don't know how he knows we're going to have these types of live streams, and it just fits so well with what you guys do. Now, getting back to the very start of the Servolution movement, I guess your inspiration was you could see South Africa's just going into a complete basket case, couldn't you?
No, absolutely. We realize that there are all sorts of voices around us. There's a liberal movement, there's Marxism and socialism and the whole lot, and we call ourselves a democracy. A lot of confusion, and we realize that we essentially have to take back the baby, is one of the sayings we have. In other words, start owning the social ills, take care of the widow, the orphan, the foreigner. If you want to have justice established, then that's exactly where you need to start. You need to take back the social ills, because we've abdicated our authority. A lot of guys reckon we pay our taxes, and the tax man needs to take care of these sort of social ills, but that's exactly opposite to what the truth is. And by taking back those responsibilities, then you can start expecting justice and righteousness and those sort of things to establish. And really about a year ago, a lot of us were frightened because the Black Lives Matter thing burst out in the States. And if you look at that exact picture, you had a lot of people were frightened because they realized, oh my gosh, the Marxist and the liberal are actually in this together. They operate on the divide and rule methodology. So the one guy would have the clever idea, and he would hold Soros and the boys would fuel the idea and the marketing behind it. And then they'd have someone else would go and have to do the dirty work and kick out the windows and create the anarchy. And we realized that, listen, a lot of people then realize, oh my gosh, it's not about one or the other. There's got to be something in between. So really what Servolution does is it breaks down those strongholds, because it releases responsibility and accountability, and it takes back those, it really just takes back that's been ripped away from us, because we've been indoctrinated through all the years that someone else is going to solve the problem for us. So Servolution releases responsibility continually, and really just through serving you find purpose and you find identity. So we've seen the most incredible different characters get involved with us with different skill sets. So it could have been ex-military guy, could have been an architect, doesn't matter. Ordinary people just loving each other radically. That's what we do.
Right. Now, you mentioned going into places like Sharpeville. Aren't you scared? I mean, Sharpeville's not the safest place in South Africa to go and do some work.
That's it. No, so we take we're very careful in terms of how we go about things. So we make sure that we're called to go there, and it's very clear. The good Lord says His blessing comes with protection. So if you're hearing the voice and you're following accordingly, guarantee that the safest place is to be right in the eye of the storm. So we've done numerous. There's a team. that's established over the years that likes to do the warfare type thing, and it's spiritual warfare. So whether it's a Sharpeville or Senecal, there's 7 of us there peacemaking, and we get there's certain strategies we follow to make sure that we're hearing clearly and that we execute in the right way. And there's power in restitution. That's what we a couple of different weapons we've learned to use. Praise is a weapon. Obviously prayer, we've got the intercessors behind us before we go. But restitution is a powerful weapon. We did the exact same thing. We utilize that now in KZN with the looting, where a massive group, Servolution group, convoy of us went down where no one was prepared to drive the N3 highway. They would burnt out trucks and military vehicles, etc. And we just pierced through that fear, because fear is a direction marker. So whether there's fear, wherever that is coming from, you need to go straight through that. And just be incredible, how can I say it, missions we've been on. But it's Servolution is for the people, Scott. It's not about an individual. It's for everyone to get involved, because pick a problem. They're 360 degrees. Whether you want to get involved with orphans or whether you want to fill potholes, whichever angle you want to go at, you're going to find your identity and purpose when you get into motion. Because love, hope, and faith, hope, and love are not words; they're verbs, they're actions. And when you activate the word, that's where you see the action happen. That's where there's transformation and lives are changed.
Yeah, well, I actually, from our discussion before we went live, I see it very much as a catalyst for good, because what you do is you go into an area where, for example, like the riots and the looting that happened in KZN, and you just go in there and you start cleaning up, fixing up the mess. And what happens is that other people start seeing what you're doing and come and join you. Now, you did mention earlier that there have been a couple of occasions where people have been quite hostile towards you when you actually started doing what you did. Now, I was quite fascinated by the way you said you handled that. Do you want to tell people how you handle, and when people got quite hostile towards you when you're doing what you do?
So the first thing to realize is against what we're doing, essentially love, gentleness, kindness, etc. There's no law against it. So you need to understand that there's a greater calling to it. Number one, in other words, you got to be firm in your identity. That's number one. And we have found that one of the very funny moments was when a couple of the PAC guys came to me, came toe to toe, nose to nose, and a couple of the guys obviously armed, etc. And the funniest words were said to me, "You're disturbing my riot." And I thought that was quite comical at the moment there too, because there's fires happening and the whole lot. And we just said to him, "Listen, and he wanted me to join his movement." I said, "No, we're actually a movement for the people. Why don't you join our movement?" So there you have, in the fires, we're having this lovely debate over there. But it comes down to just treating people with respect. You're making sure that your words are not hostile, that you see the good in that person. And there's power in restitution, because we went there, for example, and I think at that day too, it was one of those really hot days too. For example, Senecal, where we actually brought out 3,000 lovely mineral waters. And it was one of the hottest days recorded in the history of South Africa in Senecal. And it was a powerful tool, just making restitution, because there's a thin film. 1% of the guys are trying to create anarchy, but the 99% of people start wondering why they're even there. And the strategy we have, if you want to dethrone Caesar, what you got to do is you got to win the hearts of the crowd. So that's the love is a powerful weapon. So we make restitution through that, and they start realizing that we have no political agenda other than uniting the nation. And against what we're doing, there's in fact no law against it. So it becomes quite complex for whether it's a religious organization that wants to divide, or whether it is a political organization that wants to divide, because we have equal problems from both of them. There's certain big mega pastors too, and certain groups, etc. That year one they thought we're going to be done and dusted, and then year two and 8 years later it's gone across the entire nation. But that's essentially, we get boxed around on the far left and far right, whether it's a religious organization or whether it is a political organization. Come the voting year, and every political party wants to jump on our back, and suddenly they're out there on a Saturday morning serving with us, So it's been entertaining. And we step by step we're empowering people, making them realize that they are the change. And if you think about it too, every great reformation is spearheaded through creativity. It's spearheaded through the people. And one of our sayings too, the power of the people is far greater than the people in power. So we're essentially taking the baby back, and people grow through it, because once you're out there and you actually serve, there's an incredible healing that takes place, and you start finding purpose. And it doesn't matter where you start, Scott. You can start literally with filling potholes. You can pick up papers. You can start with really simple random acts of love. And when you activate it and it becomes an action, then there's a transformation, and people come back there completely changed. We've had some incredible stories.
Well, I was blown away by how you mentioned that you started. Well, this all started by you planting some trees in your neighborhood, and how that just the whole community became involved, and that was basically the inspiration. You want to tell people about that story?
Scott, absolutely. Yeah, a couple of years back, it was probably 12 years back. I was my background mechanical engineering, so I'm always creating something and building and innovating, etc. And I was just really frustrated at the fact that the guys were destroying faster than we could build, really. And I was complaining like a Jacob right through the evening. And I got a very clear word that dropped into my spirit there, and that was to start serving. And the very next Saturday, what I did in my community is we just bought the first 200 indigenous trees, little 5-liter trees, and we started putting those in with the different families over there. And I saw the most incredible restoration take place, where people that wouldn't speak to one another, etc., and we just dug holes together and we planted trees together. And from there, I started realizing there's incredible power in serving. And it was birthed through that. So just a simple act, digging a hole, putting in a tree with the neighbors. And we saw in our whole community, and a very diverse community, how people came together, started communicating with one another. And the community has never been the same since then. So, there's power in serving.
Fabulous. Now we've been talking around the subject of serving. Your organization, how does it work, and what changes do you want to bring about through the work that you do?
All right. So once again, we're not an NPO or an NGO. It's really a movement. We don't even have a bank account at all. And we operate on that old song that says, "I don't want your money, honey, I want your love." In other words, come out and serve with us. A lot of guys would ask us, "Listen, can we get involved?" And in other words, treat us like a charity. And we don't do that. We do empowerment. So really how we operate is we've always got some sort of event or challenge, but we've also got random acts of kindness that we put out there, really simple things to put out there. And that's based on the principle of that love acts. In other words, love is an action. So it's really easy to get involved. We've made it contagious and simple for the entry. And we're targeting at this stage, the reason why Servolution was birthed, to answer you more directly on that, out of Dare to Love, is that Dare to Love is essentially was a challenge for us as a church to become his hands and feet on the front line. But Servolution is for the marketplace. It's out there. That's where you essentially first demonstrate. You'll be known by your love, and then you proclaim. Because if you go through the scriptures, you realize that Jesus did it two different ways. When they were perceived as believers, then he would first proclaim the kingdom, and then he demonstrated. If, of course, the environment was right and the guys were interested in hearing the message. And then, of course, to us, the Gentiles out there, we know now we've been called, and we've all been, the mighty price has been paid for all of us. In other words, intrinsic value obligates us now to live for that price paid for us. But essentially, we demonstrate first. We go out and we demonstrate an act of love. And then there'll be questions like, why are you doing this, etc. And to answer you on how it works, if you look at the back, there's a hand over there with a heart on it.
Yes.
And it comes from, easy to remember, 2 Corinthians 3, verse 2-3, that says, your lives are a letter read by all. So in other words, we'll be known by our love. And instead of having the revolutionary mindset of destroy and Amandla and me, myself, I, it's a servolution. It's essentially saying, listen, where are you healing? Your hand needs to be open to be able to restore and fix. And so it's a brand new narrative. It's exactly opposite to what's been happening in Africa. We're hoping for it to be the next famous T-shirt. Africa's had 3 T-shirts. We've had Fidel Castro that brought in the revolutionary mindset with the hat and all, and that we know has been adopted by numerous political structures to divide this nation and the likes of Africa as a whole. And then, of course, we had he did a fairly good job. I love his music, but we had old Bob Marley here that tried to bring peace in Jamaica, and it's a little bit too much ganja for on that side. We've all been there too. And then the third T-shirt, which so many people are disappointed, guys running around with the Nelson Mandela T-shirt, and once again, got to ask yourself questions. The fruit of that, we're still sitting with major issues.
Yeah.
So perhaps it's time for something completely different. Perhaps it's time to actually unite the nation and unite Africa through its diversity. And that's what Servolution does, because there's unity in diversity and diversity in unity. Unity doesn't mean one unit. Unity means we believe in a beautiful future for Africa. And we've got a pledge that we got in place for Servolution. And that unites people because they realize that actually everyone wants to see a future for their families in this beautiful continent. Everyone wants to see the prophetic word established and Africa being truly free. So it's a brand new narrative. It's exactly opposite to the divide and rule. It unites people through their skill sets and empowers them, and they realize that they too can make a difference and they too can contribute. And there's a healing through that. When you start serving, you in fact find your purpose and you find identity as you press in. So that's really it.
Well, there's one great biblical truth, and that is that when you give, you get tenfold back. I mean, there's absolutely no question about that. And I think that the whole concept of what you're doing is quite extraordinary. Now, you mentioned that you've been to Senekal, which is in the Free State. You've been down to KwaZulu-Natal. Is Servolution right around South Africa? And if it is, how do people become involved in the concept of Servolution?
All right, so yes, it was, remember the very first movement, which is the bigger movement, which is still the foundation, because both of them operate on love. It's just that the one is more, we'd be involved with praise and worship at the hospitals, etc., under Dare to Love, whereas Servolution is more focused on actually demonstrating, could be the potholes, etc. But to get involved in it, we've got an old saying to see one, do one, teach one. Come and just experience it. There's an impartation that happens over there. And from there, there's the challenges out there. It's really easy for you to do the exact same. It's gone from, it was birthed initially in the Pretoria region, the capital, and it's gone right across the nation. So it's as far as Cape Town and, there's Durban, the Free State, etc., right across the country. And it's a challenge. It's ordinary people, ordinary folk like you and I. Everyone's invited to be a part of it. And it's just been amazing to watch as it's grown across the nation, because there's so many different serving channels that you can get involved in. Some people want to engage with people directly, so they prepare to get involved with teaching mathematics to the orphans. But then there's a lot simpler ways of getting involved. At the moment, we're busy releasing love acts. There's these little challenges out there, like a hope note for your neighbor, or clean your street, or plant a fruit tree, or plant a veg garden, feed the homeless, etc. There's a whole lot of ideas going out there. You'd remember the old ice bucket challenge. So we've got that now, but it's a love challenge that's going out there. But anyone, Scott, can get involved. We're trusting that it's going to go across not only South Africa, but right across Africa. Of course, we've engaged incredibly we've got Sudanese, Rwandan guys. Everyone is involved already in South Africa, because it is a gateway into Africa. So being at the capital city too, we've been very involved with the foreigners. So we've already activated most of the different African countries, but we're trusting that it's going to go across the world. And God also humbles one, because when you think you're the first and you start Googling, and I found that there's an American group too. There's some guys in Texas, and they've called it Servolution Network. And then there are a couple of Kiwis a little bit more east of you guys, and they've also called it Servolution. It's just fantastic, and that's how God does things, just birthing it across the entire planet. So really exciting stuff. We're the South African guys, the African version of it.
So you're going global. That's pretty amazing. Now, well, the concept's going global, if I can put it that way. And look, I get it, because it's an amazing thing that people are so unused to someone trying to do the right thing. People of today generally seem to be so rushed off their feet that all they're worried about is me, 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 me. And when you've got someone who's actually reaching out and saying, how can I help you? It's like a totally foreign development in their lives. It's like, what's all this about? And it takes takes people to a different area. They basically are I guess they're kind of not sure how to react because they're not used to someone actually saying, "Look, I'm here to help you." And I think that whole concept is fantastic. So why is serving others important to you, Daryl?
Well, firstly, it's definitely through serving others, there's an inner healing. So it's transformed me in a radical way. It's transformed me. It just gets better and better every year. And I suppose it comes from you quoted earlier on, it's more blessed to give than receive.
Yeah.
But I realized that we were trapped by a lie where we were told that the opposite of love is fear. And that's really not true, Scott, because the opposite of fear is to have the peace of the Lord inside of your heart. Right. The opposite of love is self-preservation, and that was me. I was complaining about the political issues. I was complaining about my neighborhood. I was complaining about all sorts of things, and instead of me actually getting involved, and that's where I heard that evening start serving. And through serving, as mentioned earlier, you start finding purpose, you start finding inner healing, you start finding identity. And I realized that there are two major lies that have tripped us up. And that is the not me and not now. So a lot of us are, we've been told, it's all sorts of lies because as we grow up, we get their words spoken over us, and whether it was a teacher or whatever's happened in our lives there. But essentially the adversary starts telling us that you're unworthy, so not you. And the other one is not now, which is once again also an absolute lie from the pit of hell, because people are essentially waiting for a rapture, or waiting for someone to bail them out, or waiting for the political regime to fix it. But the truth is that it is our responsibility. The truth is that a mighty price has been paid for us. And I started realizing, and I prayed that in the mornings, intrinsic value obligates. Let me understand the price paid. And then you start living from there. There's an Afrikaans saying that says, werke is hemels. In other words, it starts flowing from inside of you. But serving is what Jesus Christ did for us. He served, and he demonstrated, and he told us to do the same. And it boils down to that. Love God, love people. But serving is the catalyst. Serving is essentially what distinguishes a person that's stuck in self-righteousness, or because remember that self-preservation, it's not a materialistic thing. It doesn't matter if you got 40 million US or if you got nothing. If it's all about yourself, if you just want sitting on a street corner and begging for a fix, not for a meal, but you want a fix, or if you're you're a successful businessman. I've built up a few businesses already, but I was stuck in that position too, thinking I've employed X number of people, etc. I've done my part, but I wasn't doing anything that in terms from a social aspect. People were being paid to do certain hours for me, and that's self-preservation, because then you're stuck in that mindset that, listen, someone else must do the job. And we keep calling on justice. Justice must be done and all the rest of it. But if you want to activate justice, then the key is 58. Isaiah 58 says very clearly that go and take care of the widow, the orphan, the foreigner. In other words, step out of self-righteousness, self-preservation, and go and do it. Go and walk the talk. And then justice, etc., can kick into place. Because we've been waiting for someone else to come and sort it out. It's if you think of it too, the division is it's become so extreme where people would email the ward councillor because the tree's growing over the wall next door, instead of going around to the neighbour and introducing himself and saying, listen, please can I help you get this tree sorted out? It's damaging my property, or whatever be it. So it's about taking back the baby, and instead of me pointing fingers at the political regime and saying, look, you corrupt, and look at the bribery, and look at the extortion, because there are four fingers pointing back at me. The first one is selfishness, self-preservation. Second one, widow, orphan, foreigner. And then you have the political guy, the governor, or whatever be the president, saying, it's actually your job, and he's laughing at us. He's quite right, because it is our responsibility as believers. But pointing back at him, fair enough, bribery, corruption, extortion, all the rest of it. Yeah. But we got to take back the baby, Scott. That's what we're doing. And through that, it's a beautiful process, because there's a healing that takes place. And that's hence that the whole principle of servolution. Ask not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for the country. We've heard of that before from JFK. But this is taken to the next level. This is now embracing the creativity and the highest, net worth or net value that we have in South Africa and Africa. is the fact that we have time available, and that's the people. So it's putting the people and their values first, but not through a charity process, through an empowerment thing, turning the tables, asking them, where are you making a difference? Because most guys in that, once again, that lie, not me, not now, the mindset is, oh, I don't have $1,000, so I can't get serving. Serving does not cost from that perspective. Serving costs you time, but time Africa has. And when you start plowing that in, and pick a problem and start solving. You want to teach the orphans mathematics, or go and teach them soccer, or whether you want to put in a little street garden, or whether you want to visit the elder or pay it forward at the toll gate, simple random acts. It breaks that self-preservation down, and essentially you start finding purpose. So it's a challenge to all South Africans, whole of Africa. We celebrate diversity. We've been told diversity is a weakness and there's always going to be division. That's absolute nonsense, because there's unity in diversity. We saw what the Box did the other day to the Brits over there. When we pull our things together, then we play rugby like never before. And it's the same thing as a nation too, that diversity is a strength. So we celebrate that.
Yeah, now you just mentioned diversity. I think one of the most incredible things that I witnessed in the videos that I saw following the looting and rioting in KwaZulu-Natal was, while the mainstream South African media were trying to accentuate racial division, and I'm talking about Phoenix and what happened there, the videos I was getting was of people cleaning up the streets and fixing everything up, and it was all races working together. You know, here you had, as you said, the 99% who were saying, hey, we're going to sort out this mess, whereas you've got this tiny bad element which go out and do the looting. And I think that's a huge lesson that needs to be pushed out there, is that there are people doing great things and good things like you guys are. And then you've got the mainstream media, which is sowing division in South Africa. And that is very, very sad, because you would think that with the reach they've got, they would be putting out positive messages. And did you get any coverage at all from the mainstream media while you were cleaning up there?
We've never had SABC out there, but ENCA has come out with us twice already. They're starting to cover it, and we've got access to just some incredible guys in the billboard space that are starting to promote Servolution. But getting the national broadcaster, they haven't been ready yet. But they have no choice. They're going to start covering it, I do believe, because the guys have run out of, they've pulled just about every straw now. I mean, it's become actually quite comical if you think about what the guys have been doing, especially the past month or two, because people are starting to realize, and I'm telling you, absolutely everyone from all walks of life are realizing that South Africa does not have a racism issue. It's got a greed issue.
Yeah. And
people are starting to see the power in unity. I mean, it backfired completely on them trying to divide the country with the whole looting, etc. And you had all walks of life, young and old, cleaning up at the shopping centers, people saying, we're disappointed in you, why did you go and do that? And it's just really united us through those ashes, the incredible love where people just were, and we've also seen the Taxi Association. We've been very involved with them too, where people were, everyone's had a run-in with a taxi or two, but we've been building a lot of relations with them too, just honoring them. They move the majority of the people. They are really the engine of the economy. And these guys stepped up to the plate, and they were defending the Santaco guys. We know them, South African National Taxi Association, the GTA, the Gauteng Taxi Association. And these guys stepped up to the plate, and they were there defending the different malls, etc. And so it's become incredible, where you just go in and you just honor the guys for the role they play in society, and it changes around. So it's been powerful to see how. People that we thought would never do it, and it's now suddenly we're not divided on color anymore. It's really, are you building or are you breaking? And do you believe in tomorrow? Do you want a future for tomorrow, or are you destroying it? And we know that it's a 2% at most that still want to, that have that division and that destruction. I mean, I saw in the Senegal myself that it's a very thin film of top guys that actually are trying to create this anarchy. but the people behind it are really looking for a future, and they just need to be told that they are the change, that they are that. And when they discover that, it's unstoppable. It's unstoppable. It's going to be a creative reformation where people are going to realize that, listen, we can. Absolutely every aspect of society, from education. I mean, we've got a street school thing going where the guys go out and they just teach the guys, the street kids and also the orphans, because they can't get into the schools, teaching them mathematics and all sorts of things, and how to write, read and write, etc. People are realizing that their power, the power of the people, is far greater than the people in power. And I think that switch is happening, and it's not only in South Africa; it's happening worldwide. If you look what's happening also in South America, etc., it's exciting days. We know it's courageous days too. It's a lot of challenges out there, but people are rising through this brokenness, and through the ashes, people are uniting.
Yeah, I think one of the most amusing things I saw with the rioting and the looting was the entrance to, it was some supermarket, I'm not sure which one it was, but there was this black fellow who had a bottle of olive oil, and he was spraying it on the tiled floor. And then you saw the looters trying to come in, and they were slipping all over the place. They just left.
That's it.
That was so
no,
cool.
I mean, ingenious, Scott.
Absolutely,
I mean, those guys
ingenious.
just said, "You're not coming into our store. Let's make a plan as quick as we can."
They were protecting their jobs.
That's it, vegetable oil, and they just they made it extremely slippery there. I think they gave it a name there afterwards, a Scully Ollie, eh?
Scully Ollie,
like
yeah, exactly. Okay, now, what is the end goal or vision of Servolution?
We want to see a truly free continent. Our target is Africa, where we celebrate the diversity, where the people realize that they are the answer, where we start seeing kids free in the streets, etc., where the dictators no longer have a stronghold over us, where the clutches of this whole neocolonialism is left, and we're believing for the impossible to get them out here too, and where Africa goes through a brand new, as Rwanda has spearheaded it. Rwanda, as most people think of Rwanda, and you remember the genocide where with machetes they were cutting each other's Achilles tendons off, etc. And you go and have a look at what's really happening in Rwanda now. The most incredible innovation is taking place, some of the first in the world. It's taking place in Rwanda, and we're seeing that. We've seen a vibrant, amazing Africa, celebrating Africa. We've recently, last week, very, very exciting, but Tommy, which is a Zimbabwean guy that came through to contacted us, and we were in contact with him. And he's an incredible songwriter, and he's released songs like Makanaka, which is celebrating Africa as a theme, and Home, etc. And he's teamed up with Servolution to give us all of his tracks, etc. So we're trusting that that's going to become really popular, his songs, etc. And we're going to be celebrating restoration, whether we're sweeping streets, whether we're painting walls, whether we're building in a factory, whatever be it, where we bring in song and sound and dance, and we're working together and harmlessly, in harmony with just absolute joy. So we've got that up our sleeves. That you'll see shortly. So those are going to be coming out on YouTube and TikTok and all the rest of it. But the end goal is to see a truly free Africa, because it's blessed with the most incredible resources and sunshine and arable land. But we need to realize that the people are the greatest asset, and that's what has gone wrong. Is even South Africa, it's the only country in the entire world without a proper name. We call it South Africa, which is a geographical location. You get Uganda, United States of America, etc. So we want to see identity restored. We want people to realize they are valuable, and through them connecting to the different aspects, whether it's energy, whether it's arable land, through farming, all sorts of aspects, just to see the most incredible creative reformation. Even the Renaissance was trumped or spearheaded by the creativity and arts and sciences. So we're seeing that happen across the whole of Africa, where people start realizing that we have incredible ideas. Let's connect together. Let's restore, and we're looking forward to an incredible chapter ahead, where Africa is free and people are celebrated, and their value is first and foremost.
Right. Now, you mentioned YouTube. Do you have a YouTube channel, do you?
Yeah, so if you go and you guys go and have a look at servolution.co.za, and Dare to Love with a two, and there's Facebook page, and we're busy with also Instagram and all sorts of these videos. There's countless videos, etc. There's 8 years of history already over there of what we've gotten up to. But you can find us on the World Wide Web on Dare to Love or servolution.co.za.
Right. Now, the reason I was asking about YouTube is because on our new platform, which is lovinglivetv.com, we have about 20 what we call contributing channels. And what they are is basically YouTube channels who say, yes, we would love to also be present on your lovinglivetv.com because we're going to get extra from promotion. And what we do is when you put up a new video, we've got a huge mailing list that we send out to every day with all the updates, and that includes the contributing channels who put up a new video. So it would be a very good way to promote your organization. So if you'd like to participate in that, we'll talk about that later. But I
Thanks,
take it
Scott. Absolutely. No, we'd like to get the message out there, not because it's about us, but we'd like to shine, especially in this time. Really important to bring, and that's what we appreciate with Loving Life, etc., is covering these topics and bringing hope to people. That's what Servolution Dare to Love is about. So we need to use all the opportunities we can to spread a message of hope. But it's important in this day and age. Very, very critical. Yeah.
Well, look, we'll happily get you onto the contributing channels. So that the other thing is too, quite a few of the channels were feeling threatened by YouTube censorship. We actually keep copies of all the videos on our own cloud, so that if YouTube take them down, the videos are still there because we've actually got a copy of them, so that they're never lost. And just while we're talking about Loving Life TV, I just want to address the people who are following the live stream tonight. Guys, please remember to register on lovinglivetv.com, the platform we are transitioning to. We will be adding Servolution's YouTube channel to our contributing channels, so we'll have close to 20. Our target is to have 50 with a South African focus by the end of this year on there. So it's a huge target, but there are a lot of people who are coming across. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Nat Quinn, who looks after our forums. Guys, especially people, you've got to register to actually participate on the forums, but please go and check out the amazing articles and stuff that Nat has on the forums, because that is a very, very valuable resource on lovinglivetv.com. And become involved. Write an article. Contact Nat. Just make a comment. Just participate. All right. Sorry. Let's get back to Servolution. Now, how does your project unite South Africans? And I mean, I just go back to what I saw in KZN with people of all race just working together to clean up the mess. But in your words, how does what you're doing unite South Africa?
Serving is something that's available. Every single person has something they can give back. And when you serve, love serves. When you serve someone else, they realize it's not about yourself. It's putting, so we've got a pledge here. It's saying serving others, creating our future, loving Africa, putting you before me. But we're uniting South Africa and Africa too, because we got all sorts of the Sudanese guys, etc., part of the movement, through just serving together. And when you sweat it out on the front line together, there's a healing that takes place, and there's an empowerment, and people realize that they can do the same. We've seen the most incredible things. Some of the ex-battalion, 32 battalion reconnaissance guys that watched us for a couple of years and thought that we're just messing around, that we're a charity organization handing out food parcels. And we challenged a few of the guys to come out. And it took one moment for the guys, and the guys are completely committed. They're out there, they're involved with us now. And so really it unites you through the fact that when you, instead of being a keyboard warrior, instead of sitting on the fence and judging it from the sideline, when you step into the arena, everything changes. So if a person hasn't served before, you wouldn't understand it, but it takes one moment where you start realizing, listen, I am the change. I can do this thing. And that's what it's about, Scott. We make it available to everyone. There's nothing registered. There's no ownership over it. There's no bank account. There's no strings attached. And I think that's what makes it powerful, is that love wins. Love is the greatest.
Yeah.
And serving is a demonstration, because, we've quoted faith, hope, love, but as if they're words, and we all got it up against our walls and our homes, but they're actually verbs. And so really serving is the common denominator that puts those things, all three of those together.
Right. Now, look, what we're saying is this is not an organization you have to be a member of. It's more an attitude, a frame of mind, wanting to reach out and help other people. That's really the basis of what Servolution is all about. How can others get involved in your project directly or indirectly? What are the options they've got?
All right. So the easiest is, if a person's a bit uncertain, is to pitch up at one of the events, one of the serving events, or to pick one of the serving channels. There are multiple serving channels, from whether you're filling potholes or whether you're getting involved with orphans. We've got all sorts of different serving channels, and we're always populating something new. And then there's also just the daily random act of love, which we call the love acts. Those are small little things you're going to watch, very much like the Ice Bucket Challenge, but there's going to be certain small things like wash your neighbor's car and plant a fruit tree, etc. So there are 3 different entry levels. Then, of course, you can become even more involved in our media team, or you can get involved in the organization in terms of the planning, etc. And that comes, as you start seeing those faces out there, 5th, 6th time on a weekend, you start realizing these guys are committed. But it's as easy as a small act that we have. You'll see those, they can go out daily. There's a serving channel, pick a direction. If you don't want to engage with people just yet, start with something simple. Fill potholes, pick up papers, recycle. We've got these small entry levels, which we call serving channels. And then, of course, pitch up at one of the events. There's always, on a weekend, we'd have an average across South Africa. When on a busy weekend, we'd have up to 12 to 15 events. On a quiet weekend, there'll be 5 to 8 events, and across the country. So there's ways and means. If you're in South Africa, you can get involved from that perspective, whether it's Cape Town, Durban, Pretoria, Johannesburg. Pick one of the events and come and join us, and see one, do one, teach one. Once you've experienced it, there's an impartation. Courage is contagious, Scott, and once you've been out there, you'll never be the same again, and you realize how easy it really is. And it's fulfilling. It's amazing. You walk out there more energized than when you arrived there, and the guys keep coming back for more.
Right. Now, if Rochelle can send me the online links for all those things, I'll put them below the videos in the description, so people can just click on them and find out how they can participate that way as well.
Thank you.
Now, just talking about getting involved, are there membership fees, and how does the money flow within the organization?
No, there's zero membership fees. There's no cost. There's just really a pledge that we have out there. If I can read that to you very briefly, it says, serving others, creating our future, loving Africa, putting you before me. It's a simple pledge saying, I'm committed, I'm in, let me do my part. No membership fees whatsoever. We also don't expect you to contribute any financial costs. We prefer you just to volunteer and to pitch up and become one of the Servolution heroes. That's it. If people want to get very involved with, because at times we're putting in lots of different gardens at the moment. We're trying to teach you guys to grow their own foodstuffs to break this food insecurity threat over us. So we've put in countless gardens all over South Africa with seedlings. There are ways and means where you can perhaps just buy a few seedlings and so on. And we've got what came alongside us during the extreme lockdown. It was 2020 when lockdown was at its all-time high, and there were a lot of areas that were just completely, they had nothing coming in. There's no income there, etc. Especially the informal settlements. And we went out there. Over there in Rivers of Grace came alongside us, Scott, which is just a complete independent, what he calls stewardship movement. And it's Dave Monroe and the guys, and they said to us, listen, they can assist, because a lot of guys started saying, how can I buy a ton of potatoes from the farmers directly? So we opened up that channel because we wanted to make sure the farmers were putting seed back in the ground, and that the areas that had absolutely no food, that we were getting out there, because we know the political structures were not getting to the informal settlements or to the, what do you call it, the different, what do you call it, man, the foreigners, etc. So we went out there. So we created Dave Monroe stepped up and he said, listen, you guys can, with just a little reference, they prepare to, if you put in $1,000, $1,000 comes out on the other end there. But essentially, we built it from day one, this movement by ourselves. We pitched in our, we're essentially tent makers, we're different entrepreneurs, managers, we're ordinary people, and we contributed ourselves, and from there we've made it happen. But a lot of people, in most instances, if people want to get involved, we prefer them to actually come and serve alongside us, because what's so true too is that once your heart is in, your wallet's going to come as well. Then you're going to contribute the next time round. So we prefer people to rather, to actually be the hands and feet on deck, because we don't want to do the charity thing where, you contribute a couple of bucks and you're still sitting on the sideline. We prefer people to actually be part of the movement, because there's a healing in it. But you can buy specific items at a specific time if we're busy with gardens, or if we're busy with now with, for example, women empowerment, it's Women's Day today, etc. There's different ways that you can channel funds from that perspective.
Right. Now, you've mentioned serving channels, and obviously that's a buzzword that you use within Servolution. Can you explain to us what are the serving channels, and also just give us an outline of what is Rivers of Grace, which is that other organization you mentioned?
Sure. Okay. So Rivers of Grace, they're completely independent. They assist a lot of different organizations, but they've come alongside Dare to Love and Servolution, and they've given us just a reference there. In other words, Servolution, if someone puts something into the Servolution account, then we know it would be allocated. But incredible guys, because they don't charge any fees whatsoever. If someone contributes 500 Rand, 500 Rand is going to come out on the other end, as simple as that. And they're completely transparent and accountable. Then the serving channels, if you have a look on servolution.co.za, we've got just different ones that we call, for example, the potholes. For the Afrikaans guys, it's just fantastic, saying, well, there's no gat vol. So that's the potholes, where we're now filling the potholes, maak die gate vol. And then we got the road painting, which is draw the line, and we've got Patkos, which is the gardens for life, and we've got the cleaning thing, which is the trash for cash. We trade. We don't just pick up papers, we separate at source, because as soon as you separate, it's a commodity, there's value in it. We've got the orphanages, we've got street school, we've got the street shower, which is an amazing one, where you go out, and by the time the guy's at a shower and all that, he's got a CV and all the rest of it, and the haircut, and he's ready to go into the to be, he's employable, because he looks decent and he's fresh and he's got his CV. We've got check on your neighbor, love your neighbor. We've got the YAY group, which is the young adults group. There's always something new. We've got the hospitals, we call it Impilo, which is the Zulu name for life. We've got the yummy trees, the tree planting. We've gone into areas like Eden Park, where it was riddled with lots of drugs and the drug trade, etc. And we've done Avocado Avenue, where the guys all come out and we just put in avocado trees down the entire road. And we've got, what's the other one? The other thing that's incredible, Lemon Lane and all the rest of it. We've got the murals. We've got where the guys are repainting walls, and the most incredible graffiti, which is under the creative arts. We've got the Create Africa. We've got the street school I mentioned. The Widows is the Magog. So there's just all sorts of aspects, and there's always something new that's been populated over there, because we essentially, everyone's unique, and most people aren't ready to engage on a people-to-people basis, but they'll start with something simple, like butter the bread, or make the sandwiches when we get out there to the or make the soup, for example. We're doing soup in the winter. So serving channels, we just dubbed it that, because they're 360 degrees in obviously in the circumference, and pick a direction, get going, and along that road, whether you go at 182 degrees or 94 degrees, doesn't matter. Pick a problem, start solving it, and through that you're going to find purpose and you're going to find identity. So our whole challenge is just to mobilize, to transform those words into verbs, and then get the guys out there and get them actually resolving the issues and taking back the baby. And it strips the political powers, and it also breaks down the denominational walls and all these things that have separated us. And the biggest thing is it breaks those two lies, which is not me. You start realizing, yes, it's you can make a difference. And the not now lie, you start realizing it, no, it is now, not on our clock. This country's a great country. This continent's a fantastic continent. Let's transform and change it. So that's in a nutshell.
Right. Now, look, obviously networking is extremely important to what you're doing, because you've basically got a concept, and if you can get organizations to buy into your concept, you can expand it right across the country very quickly. Now, there are a few people, I think Marlena's here. Marlena's my PA, and she has the contact details, and I'm just going to ask Marlena if she can get a few people to be in contact with you, and I'll just run through who they are. There's an organization called Go Purple, which is based in Pretoria, run by Inari du Plessis, an amazing woman, a real dynamo. I mean, she is a fantastic inspirational speaker, and she actually has a charity which supports neglected children, orphans, all that sort of stuff. I mean, she's just absolutely extraordinary. So I'm going to ask Marlena to get Inari to get in touch with you. And also Nikki Cruden, who's down in KZN, who's from an organization called Mother's Mission. They're a charity, but she does herbs, natural medicines. She's just an absolute powerhouse in that area. Now, I mentioned forums earlier, guys. If you go to the forums, you'll see there's a forum on natural remedies and stuff like that. Nat will know the exact title, but in there's an incredibly important information on that Loving Life TV forum. And the third person I'd like to get you to have contact with is Geerben Jonker and Davi, who are involved in some very, very exciting community projects. And when it comes to teaching people how to set up a garden and stuff like that, you know, I think that they would be fabulous contacts for you to have. So, okay, so Marlena said, here I am, I will put them in touch. So Marlena's going to get those guys to be in touch with you directly. I don't know if Marlena's got your phone number, but I think she's got Ivan's, so perhaps Ivan can pass on your phone number to Marlena. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
hi, Ivan.
Hi, Scott.
I thought you were hanging around in the shadows there.
I was in the shadow. It's going to cast a giant shadow. Isn't it awesome? Hey?
Absolutely amazing what you guys are doing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, now, Daryl, how does what you're doing change the political divide and rule methodology that's in play at the moment?
It exposes it completely, because remember, it's been coming for, we know, not only decades, centuries. It's been where they operate on the divide and rule. And the strategy for Servolution is to release. It's exactly opposite. In other words, if the political structures are designed to separate the people, you know, the divisive spirit the whole time. In fact, it's something the good Lord doesn't like at all, is someone who's got that divisive spirit. Then the opposite is true, is we need to, because it said, blessed are the peacemakers. And the strategy over there is to release. In other words, for people to realize that that they've abdicated their authority, that they got to take back those social ills. So it does exactly opposite. It actually restores people through that process, unites people through that, by them realizing that they're the answer to the very problems that they have. And so yeah, it does the political, all the different parties, etc. The majority of them are still operating on the divide and rule principle, and it exposes them for what they are. And people are starting to see through that worldwide, Scott. It's not only in South Africa. Yeah. People up to here with all the politics, but it unites people by them realizing we empower them, that they're the answer to their problems that they have. And you know, South Africa too, we've got that old thing of Boermaka plan. We're extremely creative, and it doesn't matter black, white, pink and blue. We've got the most incredible people, the creativity. In fact, if you go and sit at the patents office and you go and have a look at some of the patents that are already out of patent 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, there's ideas there that will transform the landscape of Africa completely. And the key is just to take back that authority and to realize that we are the answer, and to impart it. And I often say that, the world structures operate on A equals O plus L. In other words, a starfish principle. We got a head office in Texas, and you got a branch in Dubai, and a branch in Johannesburg, and a branch in Perth. And if one of the branches are closed down, you got a crippled spider. If you cut off the head, in other words, Texas head office, then the brand dies. But the Starfish program, which is very different to that, that's how the kingdom works. You'll notice it's got a star in the back there. It's a morning star. It's crisis. We've got G513 in it. But the Starfish principle is the diversity principle. In other words, every single organism exists in each and every one of the parts. Because if you, for those that have seen Octopus Teacher, for example, the octopus operates in the same thing. Is if you cut off one of the members, a leg of a starfish, it'll grow back again. So that's how we operating. We're busy with a principle of a flow economy, people to people transaction, recognizing each other's time has been valuable, and getting that flow going. So really, the Servolution is exactly opposite to what we've been indoctrinated. We've given the baby away, Scott. We've all the social ills of the world. We expect Caesar to handle that, and it's just not happening. We as a believers have to take back that responsibility, and then you'll start seeing justice and righteousness, because there's only one responsibility of any governor, of any president, if you go read through the scriptures, and that's to be the strong arm of the law of the Lord. But that ain't happening because we've abdicated our authority. They've got control over all the social ills, and we're busy taking that back through the Servolution principle.
Right, fantastic. Now, look, there's a comment that's just come up in the side chat. That, in fact, there are a couple, but there's one that's related to another one of our Loving Life family, and I just want to respond to that quickly, and then I'll pass on the other comment to you. Dieval Kutzer said Petrus Cito is staying with us on Tuesday, going to braai some chicks for him. Now, Dieval, if you could get Petrus to contact Marlena, because he's doing this protest on the 14th of August in Pretoria to draw attention to the farm attacks and farm murders. And obviously we want to cover that live here on Loving Life TV. So if you can please just put the message out and get him to speak to Marlena, that'd be great. Now, the other message is from Garnet, and he says, I need the Servolution logo to print on a t-shirt and make posters. Now, are you happy to do that?
Absolutely, because we made it completely available. So here's the logo here.
Okay, fabulous.
Right.
How do people get that?
We've made it available. You can download it directly.
Okay.
But you just got to tick on the pledge. In other words, it's available to everyone who agrees on the serving others, creating our future, loving Africa, and putting you before me. And there's reason for that. We've put it on there. We've painted that on Constitution Hill, etc. as well. So it's available for you. Absolutely everyone who wants it. But it's an earned T-shirt. We by taking up that pledge, there's an expectation because what we want to switch the narrative. In other words, first time you meet someone for the absolute first time, you've got to be able to ask the guy that question: where are you serving? Where are you making an impact? So the answer is absolutely. It's available for everyone. It's a movement by the people for the people. You can download it directly off the website. There's also videos, etc. And there's a very simple pledge over there saying you commit to serve others. So it's available. Absolutely. It's an earned T-shirt.
And that's servolution.co.za.
Correct.
Okay. So the answer there, Garnet, is go to servolution.co.za, and you can download the logo and then print it out and make posters and do whatever you have to do there. What was that, Rochelle? I heard Rochelle whisper something. Go on.
Rochelle was just saying on the website there's a little pledge from your heart there where you can send your details to. It's really great for us to know where Garnet is, etc.
Okay.
Just so we contact and we can send more ideas through to directly. So there's a little pledge, tiny, like 4 or 5 entries on there. It'll take a couple of seconds to complete.
Right. Fantastic. All right. Now, what do you mean by see one, do one, teach one?
So see one, do one, teach one is it comes from also, when there's a lot of pressure on the front line, whether you'd done medicine before or whether you've been in the military, that sort of thing. You actually learn while you're out there in the field. So, in other words, we don't have classes to tell you how you're going to serve, etc. Pitch up over there. You experience one, see someone else serve. Next time round, you give it a shot. Next time round, you train someone. So that's it's really a release concept. See one, do one, teach one. It makes it easier to learn in the field. It's quicker and it's empowering, and you realize that the practical aspect is the biggest, the most important part of it, because inside of us we've all been wired already. There's a certain skill given to each and every one of us, and all you have to do to release that is just to pitch up over there and join hands with someone else that's done it before. And by the very first event, you'll know exactly how to do it, and the next time around, you can lead the way. So see one, do one, teach one. It's just about learning in the field as quick as possible, empowering that person to do the same wherever they are. For example, the foreigners we're teaching now on how to grow their own foodstuffs, and that starting to realize, but why have I come to South Africa when I can do this exact same thing? I've got a river back in Zambia, or I've got better resources over there. So the see one, do one, teach one is applicable to every single aspect, whether you're training someone to grow gardens, whether you're training them to whatever one of the serving channels operate on that same basis. See one, do one, teach one.
Right. Now, look, in any organization, there's got to be, I guess you'd call it leadership. You're obviously one of the leaders of Servolution. How does the structure work within Servolution, and who is accountable to who within the organization or within the group?
All right, so how it works is under the different serving channels, you'll notice on if you go online too, you'll see there'll be a name over there. That'll be the champion that's leading it. There's a commitment that if you're going to lead one of the channels, and then you need to put in 3 years into it, because you need to raise up the next leaders underneath you. So we do a bottoms-up approach, and we permanently training the next set of guys to do the exact same thing. So in other words, there's no, it's about commitment. If that guy's pitching up over and over and there's an interest in, let's say, the gardens, and he's got some earned authority in terms of perhaps he's a farmer himself, or he's been doing urban farming, or he's just been involved in that, and he gravitates towards that serving channel, and he keeps pitching up over and over and over, you just naturally find that leadership, and you realize this guy is he's leading the way with the gardens. And we try and do it geographically too. In other words, that you've got one guy saying, listen, I've got Gauteng covered, I've got another guy covering Cape Town, etc. So it's an earned authority. It's about, the whole basis is exactly, servant leadership. If that guy keeps pitching up, we realize he's accountable, we can depend on him, he's going to be there every Saturday. And there's also just a commitment to say, listen, I'm going to lead this for 3 years, but you've got to keep working your way out of it the whole time, because it's a movement. There's got to be someone new coming in under the see one, do one, teach one, and it's got to keep expanding the whole time, because all these different channels are required across the entire country as well as Africa. We want to see for example, just take the tree planting, the fruit tree planting. We want to see fruit trees across the whole of South Africa and Africa, for example. So servant leadership is the answer there, Scott. You've got to come and serve, and you've got to pitch up, and the accountability needs to be there, and that person just starts leading it naturally, but he needs to continually replicate himself with another leader the whole time, over and over. Then there's the media voice, which is just a creative team that handles things like the billboards, it handles the videos, the Instagram, the TikTok, etc. And there too, you can come and render your service and say, listen, I'm a good graphic designer, or I can write well, or I've got access to, I'm a good speaker, I can do radio interviews for you, and you can join that team too. So there are all these different serving channels, and there's power in that, because you're replaceable the whole time. There's always someone else that's prepared to fulfill your role, and there's an expectation on you to work your way out of that the whole time, over and over and over, because we want to see it grow across, even into the small little towns across South Africa, etc. We'd like to reach those corners too.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting, because on Loving Life's been going for nearly 3 years now, with its focus on South Africa. And over that time, people have just sort of popped out of the woodwork and become extremely important and respected and valued within our channel. And they've become channel heroes. And we've got about nearly 20 channel heroes in our uh, our family, if I can put it that way. And, wonderful people who've done wonderful stuff to support and make Loving Life what it is today. And it's a family, it's a community. It's not some big guy with a big ego getting up in front of the camera and making noises. It's the people behind the scenes who work with me. I mean, I see Fiona Timms is here, and she's now a regular. She produces videos regularly that we put up on lovinglifetv.com, and her latest one was about Dusty the bear, and it's a children's story, and it's beautiful, and that's what we're about. We're about being a community, working together, having people who really get involved, and that's the strength of the Loving Life community, and I exactly get where you're coming from.
Thank you. Yeah, so we just got the Euro Serve principle. So the channel, the serving channels, it's the exact same thing that you guys are doing. It's fantastic. So it's really the people take ownership of it, which is awesome.
Yeah. And now I'm going to wrap up the live stream. We've been going for about well over an hour now. Where can we get more information, and how can others get started? I know we've touched on that. Perhaps you can just reiterate that specifically.
All right. So have a look at servolution.co.za, pitch up at one of the events, or sign up on the pledge and get involved in one of the serving channels, or take up one of the daily love acts. One of those. Those are the 3 different ways, easy ways of doing it. So what's really nice is some of the expats that are offshore, etc., they can also be involved in the movement. By just those random acts of love. But that's it. It's as easy as that. Have a look on the website over there, and join the Facebook page too, and pitch up at one of the events, or join a serving channel, or get involved in one of the random acts. It's as easy as that. And we're gonna be populating now from mid-August. There's going to be something new daily, and just really easy entry, easy way to get involved. So servolution.co.za would be your first point of contact, and the Facebook page thereafter.
Right. Now, look, there's just something I'd like to just extend a hand out to how Loving Life can perhaps help you with the projects you do in the future. If you're doing a major project, like, for example, with what you did in KwaZulu-Natal, I'm very happy to have a live stream while you're actually involved in the actual cleanup and stuff like that. And we can just broadcast it live through Loving Life. So again, if you speak to Marlena about that, let us know when big projects are coming up, and we'll very happily cover that.
That'll be fantastic if we can cover even just some of the the different serving channels, whether we're putting in a garden, whatever we're doing a cleanup, it'll be great. Some of the major ones. So we'll speak to Marlena on that one. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live stream. I just want to see if there are any final questions. Fiona says, thanks so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed Dusty's story. Now, okay. Guys, I'm going to ask you to just perhaps just close off this live stream with a comment. I'll start off with Dr. Ivan Jardine. Ivan, would you like to just say something to people watching this video, and then I'll put the same question to Daryl.
Yeah, I would just say attend one of the functions. You'll never be the same again. We just come to one function and that's it. That's just doing me.
Fabulous. Daryl?
All right, yeah, so we've just got hand on heart, just like that.
Yeah.
And that's it, Servolution. It's just a sign saying I'm committed, I'm pledged. And it comes from 2 Corinthians 3, love is the greatest. So that's it. Join the Servolution.
Amen.
Okay.
Now, Daryl, I know this is very off the cuff, but would you like to close this live stream in a prayer?
I'd love to. Thank you. That'll be great. Thank you.
I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, Father God, we just thank you for these channels. We thank you that you've called us to be a voice of hope. We thank you that you've already paid a mighty price. And we thank you that you've given us the responsibility to be your hands and feet and voice of hope. And we thank you that you've made us all unique and different. And we thank you that You've given us the right to step into that arena, and you came and served us, and you washed our feet, and you told us to do the exact same for others, and you demonstrated for 3 years with us. And then you gave us the greatest gift of all. You gave us your Spirit to guide us, a gentle voice. And I just pray that each and every person watching this and listening now will listen to that voice and realize they are worthy, and the moment is now, and that they've been made and built and raised for a time such as this. We thank you that despite humanity being in a very difficult place where it seems like there's so much darkness, that hope and light and goodness shine the brightest in this moment. So we just pray for an activation of serving hearts, and we pray that this will cross not only South Africa, but the whole of the world, that people realize that you've paid a price, not for us to escape, but for heaven on earth, because that's what you taught us to pray, for your kingdom to be expanded and the increase of your government and its peace and its righteousness forevermore. We declare this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Fabulous. All righty. I just want to quickly...
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. Well done.
You're very welcome, guys. And before you go, I just want to say thank you to the moderators who looked after the side chat and kept it nice and clean. Thank you for everybody who's joined us tonight. I hope that you've enjoyed this live stream as much as I have, and the wonderful work that Servolution are doing. And of course, I want to thank our guests, Daryl and Ivan. Well, Ivan actually introduced us to Servolution, but Daryl is the man. So, you know. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Scott.
All right. I'm gonna wrap up this live stream now. I'll keep the side chat open for a few minutes so you can say your goodbyes. And don't forget, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time, we have another live stream. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Good night. Bye.